Aloha and welcome to Your Heart Magic, an illuminating space where psychology, spirituality, and heart wisdom meet. Here's your host, Dr. BethAnne Kapansky-Wright, the clinical psychologist with a mystic mind.
Aloha, everybody. This is Dr. BethAnne Kapansky-Wright, and welcome to Your Heart Magic. Also, welcome to the month of April. We are doing an energy update today to kick off the start of a brand new month. So we will be diving into this episode. What do the Akashic Records have to say about the month of April? And then just talking about some of the other energies that might be coming through this month. So I find it really helpful when we are looking at what is the energy of the month ahead to look at it within the context of what did we just emerge from. And we just finished and wrapped up the month of March, which the Akashic Record said was a month of emerging energies. One of the things that I really loved about the records and the message that they gave us for March was there was this emphasis on origins and beginnings of something. And we were given the lovely metaphor of seeing a butterfly emerge from the cocoon for the first time. And the focus was on watching the butterfly emerge. It hadn't taken flight yet. It hadn't tested out its wingspan. It was just in that initial stages of origining. And so you might reflect on what did you start in March? What might have been a beginning or an origin in your life? Did you catch a glimpse of anything? Something else the record said in March is that we would get almost like a glimpse of what is to come, a little bit of a sneak preview. And the energy, the feeling around that is opening night of a show when the curtains first draw back. And you get those first initial glances of what the show or the movie that you've been anticipating is going to look like. And if you've ever been to the opening night of something or waited for a long time for something to come out in the movie theater or on video, and you have like that first 5 minutes where it opens up and there's credits and music, and you can see and start to get a flavor for what is this going to be. That was the emphasis of March. And so we continue that energy in April because April is the month that the butterfly takes flight. It is the month where the Akashic Record said the theme of it is look up. And the idea of April is instead of looking at the beginning of something and focusing on those first pieces of something coming together, what it feels like this month is everybody looking up at the sky at the same time. And what was so beautiful about this message is when I channeled it from the records, I did this back in mid-March. I think I knew there was an eclipse coming up, but I didn't realize how big the solar eclipse was going to be. And so when I did that message, the records did not talk about the solar eclipse. They just talked about this idea of looking up. And I kept seeing crowds of people staring up at the sky. And the way that that came through was very metaphorical. Some of it was seeing people like at an air show and they were watching airplanes up in the sky. Some of it was seeing people stargazing. There was all these different images of people looking up. When I'm working with the records, there is a little bit of bringing information through in terms of pictures, images, sensations, feelings, words, sometimes direct phrases or something that feels very instructive. And so all of that is kind of how the Akashic Records translate themselves. So when I opened the records for April and I was seeing all these images of people looking up and staring up at the sky, I also had a sense of awe and admiration and appreciation. And it was very much that energy when you see something that's a sight to behold and your jaw kind of opens up and your gaze is just directed upward at something happening in the sky that's really awe-inspiring. that's what it felt like. And then it was so cool to read about the eclipse. And I saw some article recently that a lot of people are going to be trying to travel so that they can be in locations where they can actually see the solar eclipse. So when I saw that the solar eclipse was happening on April the 8th and was reading all these articles, it really made me wonder how much the records might have been referring to that particular event, though they did not reference it specifically. And the bigger picture for the month of April wasn't just focused on that one singular point in time, though I do feel that they were giving a nod to it. But it was really that the whole month feels like it might be filled with opportunities for us to look up, opportunities for us to have a greater sense of expansion and seeing the bigger picture. And one of the things about stargazing that can be so magical for people is it often gives them a more expansive view. And when we are able to really widen our gaze and realize how vast and miraculous the universe is, how big our world is, and how very small we are in comparison to that, that can be a very humbling experience. It can also be very awe-inspiring because we are able to say, oh my gosh, in this amazing place filled with so many and so much wonders, I get to be here. I get to be a participant in it. I get to look up. I get to be somebody who takes it in. And it gives us a sense of perspective and helps us realize that we are not only part of that whole, but the whole is so much greater than what it seems. And that feeling of awe and expansion and interconnection and bigger perspective is very much how the energy feels from the viewpoint of the Akashic Records for the month of April. So I love this idea that in March, we were not necessarily looking up, we were looking at the focal point of the butterfly coming out of the cocoon. So we were looking, we'll say maybe down on the path, down at the next step. What do we need to do next? March felt like a month where we were making progress and again, seeing the beginning of something. But the records talked about it wasn't necessarily a month for seeing the bigger picture and mapping out your strategy for how you're going to get to point B from point A, because you might not have that expanded vision that allows you to see where you wanted to go. We would have these inklings and seeds being planted to grow something new. And April is the month where we will really be given a sense of what is to come and that bigger picture, and perhaps even start to create the pathway for whatever our individual goals are. How do we travel ourselves there? How do we move ourselves in the direction that we want to go for the visions that we've been given? There is going to be a lot of momentum this month, and it is Aries season. Aries astrologically is a fire sign. It is about momentum. It's about inspiration. It is about taking action and feeling inspired and courageous and bold to take action. Aries can be a very passionate sign when it is perhaps not in balance. It can be a sign that is very impulsive or aggressive or act before we think or acting on our own agenda without considering the balance of everybody else. But of course, all of us here are in our heart magic. So we are trying to bring harmony and balance into all the energies that we're working with. And Aries, in its lightest, brightest version of self, is very inspirational and it helps give us a fire and a sense of movement. And so that was what I felt in April, that things will be moving really fast. And when I asked the records, how do we navigate the month ahead? They actually said, like, hang on for the ride. And there really was a sense of these twists and turns and momentum coming and a lot of fluctuating energy. And so the guidance we were given in order to best work with the energy this month is we might want to hone our focus when things are happening quickly and we have a lot of inspiration and energy coming in and we feel like, I want to do this and I could do this. And oh my gosh, I've got this idea. And we have all these light bulbs pinging in our mind at the same time. That's a wonderful feeling. It feels so good to have fresh breeze and fresh movement and fresh fire energy come in if we've been feeling stagnant. At the same time, when we're not able to harness that and focus, it can feel like energetic fragmentation. And so it can look like having like 20 different ideas, but not taking a step forward because we don't know which path to choose. And it's almost like it's too much. So this is a good month to pick your focus and to pick like three things, maybe three goals that you're working on, or maybe you break up your life and you do home life, career life, inner world, creativity, whatever categories you want to put it in. And in each one, you come up with a focal point or an intention or a goal, or it could just be a word, something that you are focusing on working with that word or that quality. Whatever you do, do you. But the overall guidance for all of us is that it would be a good way to work with the energy this month and harness it by honing our focus and coming up with a sense of, if I've got 50 things pulling at me, what are the top five that I really want to prioritize? And I really want to keep redirecting my gaze and focusing on that. I think, anyways, right now, that's just good general guidance for life. I often find that we are so distracted in our modern age. There's so many things that are pulling at our attention, whether that's coming from inside of us and our mind, our mental chatter, or something happening where our mind is pinging all over the place, or whether it's just outside of us and it's demands on our time and energy, or getting online to look at something and then you realize like 60 minutes has passed and you didn't do much. You scrolled the internet or looked at social media or went down a rabbit trail of articles. Sometimes we have to be very intentional about saying, no, this is what I'm focusing on right now. And something that I like to do sometimes is just tell myself that will be there later. And if it's really important to me, I might make a note of it that later says, like, come back to this when you have time. But sometimes I like to say, just like BethAnne, that will still be there. If you want to spend your time doing X, whatever it is, like that's not going anywhere. It's still going to be there. But this is what we're focusing on now. This is how we're bringing our energy and our focal point and our intention into balance. So, this month feels like it will be quick moving, and we do have an eclipse coming up on April the 8th. It is a solar eclipse. It is a new moon in Aries. And as a rule of thumb, new moons are always a good time for pressing reset on something. Leading up to a new moon is a great time to work with the waning moon by letting go, releasing, banishing, doing protection, doing things that really help prepare us to receive something on the new moon. And then when the new moon energy happens, it's a great time to say, this is the intention that I want to plant on this new moon. So it really echoes that beautiful message from March about planting seeds, origins, the beginning of something. With the eclipse energies, eclipses are very much about transformation and change. They can be about sudden shifts. And this new moon is connected to the full moon in Libra that we just had back in March. And so, right now, whatever's been coming up for you, whatever life themes are happening, whatever kinds of things you find yourself writing in your journal about, saying to a friend or somebody that you trust, talking to them, and you're bringing up the same relationship or the same idea, or saying, I just really want to blank, fill in the blank, whatever it is. And you've probably said it to them a bunch of times because it's a work in progress for you. Whatever shifts you're seeing in your life, how your relationships are shifting. The eclipse season this year is a lot about exchanges, relationships, our relationship with money, receptivity, giving and receiving, how we relate to exchanges. All of those things are ongoing themes. And then you'll have ones that are personal for you. And so, whatever those are the themes that you've been working with this whole eclipse season. So, this new moon will be another opportunity to take whatever has been coming up, whatever you've realized, whatever insights you've had, whatever new vision is coming through, and really ground that intention and decide to take the step. Or maybe you just sit and visualize how you would like it to grow over the next 6 months. I always tell people, work with the moons and work with these energies in a way that fits your life. I think that we are busy enough that we should never feel guilty that we missed a moon or that we didn't do a ceremony or that everybody's talking about the big eclipse energy and that you should do this writing prompt or you should, do this thing. And we're in a space in life where we don't have time for that. Part of our heart magic is being self-honoring, and it's listening to what's right for us and working with the energies that are reflected in our life at this time. And so if you've got time to do the journaling, do the oracle cards, do the prompts, do whatever it is that you want to do, that's amazing. That's fabulous. Do you? And if you don't have time, just know that these energies are happening anyways. And maybe just listening to this or taking a mindful moment to think about what's one intention that I want to work on when this new moon comes, would be enough. There's not a right or wrong way to do this. We're not more or less spiritual if we are spending time doing these things. Usually, when we invest in working with the moons, working with our journals, working with our inner world, it just means that we are really listening to what's going on inside of ourselves and consciously cultivating our spiritual connection and our inner connection. And good things tend to come from that. But I just want to acknowledge that if that's not where you're at in life right now, that's okay too. Just know that big things are happening in April. We will have a full moon happening on April 23rd, and that is the full moon in Scorpio. Scorpio is about transformation and change, and it can be very intense energy. So that will kind of capstone our eclipse season. When eclipse season happens, it doesn't just include the new moon and the full moon that the eclipses fall on, but it includes the moon cycle that happened before the first eclipse, and it includes the moon cycle that happens after the eclipse. So those are kind of like bookends. And in between that, the story is the big stuff that came up during eclipse season. So we will have a full moon. It will be in the sign of Scorpio, which is all about psychology and getting under the surface of things, really penetrating truth and looking at things from a very in-depth perspective. And that could be a very intense full moon, but it will be a really good opportunity for us to do some work around just releasing and honoring whatever this eclipse season represented for us. And wherever we're at in our life at this time, we are also moving into Taurus season, and that will be happening on April 20th, I believe. And that's an earth sign. So we'll be taking all this big, fiery, momentous energy and shifting into the astrological sign of Taurus, which is more grounded. And it's more about what's happening in the material world and how do we honor those exchanges, those values, our relationships, our material wealth, our possessions, what anchors us and creates a sense of security and stability, earth energy, all of those beautiful things are happening. And speaking of earth energy, it is Earth Day on April 22nd. I love Earth Day. I love that it's in Taurus season. I love that it's an opportunity to celebrate Mother Nature, to celebrate the earth, to do something good for the earth, to remember our relationship with the earth and find a way to work with that relationship and to be really honoring of that. So we start out with fire energy and lots of momentum, and we will be ending in a more anchored place, in a more grounded place with focusing on the earth and our feet and what's anchoring us and our next step on the path. Something that I wanted to leave us all with today that I really loved about the Akashic message for the month of April is they said it's a really good month for us to foster an energy of goodwill towards each other and cheerleading each other on. And one of the things the records addressed is so often when we see somebody doing something cool, something that we would love to do ourselves, or we wish we could do, and maybe we don't have access to it or it's not available to us. For many of us, there are uncomfortable feelings that can come up of envy or jealousy or comparison or something that makes us evaluate our own life and feel that somehow it pales in comparison to whoever it is this other person's doing, whether that's a real person or just something that we are perceiving based on how it's coming across on social media or something on TV or a movie or something like that. And the records address the wound of self comparison in their monthly message and talked about one of the ways that we consciously keep healing that wound is when we see somebody else doing something that inspires awe in us to not only have a sense of like, way to go, fellow human, like, that's awesome that you are doing that, but to really think about how can I be inspired by this? If you see somebody and they are going on a 6-month adventure, travel adventure, something like that, and you know that that is not available to you because of where your life is at, you might think about, gosh, that's so cool. I wish I could do that someday. And maybe that is a seed you plant. Maybe you say, you know what? I'm not going to be able to do that for a while because of where my life is at, but I want to create a folder, create a binder, create something on my computer or on Pinterest or pictures or something like that. And I am going to collect images or links or something like that of places I'd like to go. Maybe you say, I need adventure right now and I don't have access to it, but I can take the next 6 months and I am going to plan to create these mini adventures. And I'm going to do things like try new places, go the next town over, go to the bookshop that I always talk about going to and I never go. And I'm going to go into a different section, find something that I usually wouldn't get. And I'm going to give myself an adventure of the mind and read a book that is maybe new to me and introduces me to a new topic or a new genre. Maybe you decide to do something where you are like, okay, it's French Friday, and you find a way to bring in some form of things that might represent France to you and celebrate the energy of that. The records really talked about that we can be creative, but when we have a spark that we feel where we see somebody else doing something, that we can be really generous in our goodwill and say, that's amazing. And if we also feel like, I wish I could, then we can flip that and say, how could I bring some of that energy into my life right now? How could I be inspired? How could I be creative? How could I grow in me whatever I admire in them? And I love that. I think that is a beautiful way to work with not only fostering goodwill, but to bring compassion to ourselves when we start to dip into comparison or feeling like somebody else has it better, and really challenge ourselves to keep thinking about how can I make the best of my life right now? How can I continue to bring these qualities and these energies in? So I thought that was a just beautiful message. And that was how the monthly message for April ended. So this seems like a really nice place to pause for today. And thank you for joining me for your heart magic. We will see what is to come in the month ahead and how the energy keeps showing up for all of us and what kinds of big experiences we might have in our own life where we have a sense of awe and interconnection and expansion and bigger vision, and perhaps even some things that feel a little bit magical. I will be back next week with a talk story episode, and we will look forward to that. In the meantime, have an amazing week. Be well, be love, be you, and be magic.
You've been listening to Your Heart Magic with Dr. BethAnne Kapansky-Wright. Tune in next week for a new episode to support and empower your light.